Hi, tonight we're going to work on how to write a summary. We're going to use the story The Wind and the Sun in Aesop's Fable to help us, and we're going to be using this graphic organizer to help us identify important information in the story as we read. So when we summarize, we want to be generating or asking questions that can help us understand and summarize this story. We want to find out what happens at the beginning, the middle, and the end, and our summary should tell the most important parts of the story in just a few words. So we're going to identify the character, setting, and the beginning, middle, and end of The Wind and the Sun. Narrator. Long ago, Wind and Sun argued about which of them was stronger. In the middle of the argument, they saw a man walking down the road. He wore a coat that was decorated with a picture of a gold axe on the front. The axe was the symbol of his trade. He was a woodcutter. Sun. Let's try to get that coat off the woodcutter. Whoever can do that is stronger. You go first. Narrator. Wind went first. Sun hid behind a cloud to watch from the darkened sky. Wind. I will blow on the woodcutter as hard as I can. I know I can blow off that coat. So the wind blew on the woodcutter as hard as he could. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Ooh, how the cold wind gnaws at my bones. It is good that I have this warm coat to wrap around me. The woodcutter walked on, securing his coat even tighter around him. Wind gave up in despair. That must have been the weakest wind I ever made. It could not blow the coat off the woodcutter. It was now Sun's turn to try. I will shine my rays on the woodcutter as hard as I can. I know that I will be able to remove that coat. So Sun shined on the woodcutter as hard as he could. Oh, how the hot sun shines! It is far too warm for this coat. It is good that I can take it off. So the woodcutter took off his coat, which proved that the sun was indeed stronger than the wind. So now that we finished this story, you should have your graphic organizer out in front of you. And it should have the characters, setting, beginning, middle, and end. So let's identify who the characters are. If we go back to the story, we can see that the sun and the wind are our main characters. And we also have the woodcutter. Even if you look at the illustration, you can see that those are the three main characters in the story. So you should have the wind, the sun, and the woodcutter written down. The setting, or where the story takes place, should be along the road outside. If we go back to the story, it says that the sun and the wind were arguing when they saw a man walking down the road. In the beginning, we find that the wind and the sun are making a bet about who is stronger. And we found that information out here. In the middle, we find out that they're both trying to get the woodcutter to remove his coat. The wind went first, and then the sun. And then we get to the end, and we find out that the sun was able to get him to remove his coat, so he was stronger than the wind. So overall, if we wrote a summary putting the beginning, middle, and end together, it would sound something like, the wind and the sun made a bet about who was stronger. They both tried to get the woodcutter to remove his coat, and the sun was able to get him to remove his coat, so he was stronger than the wind. We're not going back through every detail of the story. We're giving just the most important parts of each part of the story so that the reader knows that what the main events were, not, the symbol on the coat or what the woodcutter said. We just want to know the main events in each part of the story, and we want to retell those important pieces, and we call that a summary. So your thinking map should be completed now, and you're going to try this on your own with your own story in your homework this week. If you have any questions, don't forget to write them down on a Post-it and put them on the parking lot for whole group tomorrow.